The birthday cake sat untouched on the kitchen counter, 17 candles slowly drowning in melted wax. You're not our real mom," Chloe screamed, her face twisted with the kind of rage only a 17-year-old could muster. "Stop pretending you care about my birthday." Her brother Tyler, 15 and already taller than me, crossed his arms and added his favorite line. "Dad only married you for your cooking anyway. Everyone knows it." I set down the spatula I'd been using to frost the homemade chocolate cake, Chloe's favorite, made from scratch like I'd done for every birthday for the past 10 years. My hands were steady, but inside, something finally snapped. Not broke, snapped, like a rubber band stretched too far for too long. "You're right," I said quietly. They both blinked, thrown by my agreement. Usually, I'd smile sadly and say something about loving them anyway, or remind them that family was more than blood. Not today. "I'm not your real mom," I continued, wiping my hands on my apron. The one Chloe had given me for Christmas when she was 8, before she decided hating me was easier than loving me. "And you know what? I'm tired of pretending that's my fault." I walked past them, up the stairs to the master bedroom I'd shared with their father, Marcus, for a decade. In the closet, behind my winter coats, was the suitcase I bought 6 months ago. The one I packed and unpacked a dozen times, always talking myself out of leaving. Not today. As I folded my clothes, the designer pieces mixed with the Old Navy basics, because I'd never been flashy about money, I heard Marcus's car in the driveway. Early from work, as usual. The consulting firm he claimed to run had exactly one client. Me. Not that the kids knew that. "Babe," he called up the stairs. "Why is Chloe crying?" I didn't answer, just kept packing. The sound of his footsteps on the stairs was familiar, heavy, tired, the walk of a man who'd given up on his dreams long before I met him. "Sarah?" He stood in the doorway, his face cycling through confusion to concern to the first flicker of panic. "What are you doing?" "Leaving," I said, zipping the suitcase. "Because of a teenage tantrum?" "Come on, she didn't mean it. You know how kids are." "Yes," I said, pulling my laptop bag from under the bed. "I know exactly how kids are. I've raised yours for 10 years while you played video games and pretended to have a business." His face flushed. "That's not fair." "Fair?" I laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Let's talk about fair, Marcus. Is it fair that I've heard you're not my real mom 3,652 times?" "Yes," I counted. "Is it fair that your children have spent a decade telling me you only married me for my cooking while you sat silent?" "Sarah, please." "No," I held up my hand. "I'm done. The divorce papers are on the kitchen counter, next to Chloe's birthday cake, the one she doesn't want because I'm not her real mom." I pulled a manila envelope from my bag and handed it to him. "You might want to look at these before the kids see them, or don't. I honestly don't care anymore." His hands shook as he opened the envelope. I watched his face change as he read the first document, a bank statement from my business account. Novatech Solutions, the company I built from my garage while his children slept, now worth $18 million. This is yours," he whispered. "Page 2, I said, pulling my suitcase off the bed. Page 2 was 10 years of expenses, private school tuition for both kids, $340,000. Medical bills including Tyler's surgery when he broke his leg skiing, $45,000. Close therapy after their mom died, $30,000. Summer camps, sports equipment, music lessons, tutors, clothes, food, everything. $1.2 million over 10 years. Page 3. His business account, total revenue over 10 years, $67,000. Total expenses, $71,000. Net profit, negative $4,000. He couldn't finish. "Paying for everything." "Yes." "While you told your children I was a gold digger who trapped you. While you let them believe you were providing for them. While you sat in your office playing World of Warcraft and calling it client development." The sound of footsteps on the stairs. Chloe and Tyler appeared in the doorway, drawn by their father's raised voice. "Dad?" Tyler asked. "What's wrong?" Marcus looked at me, pleading. "Don't do this," his eyes begged. "Don't tell them." "Your father has something to tell you," I said, moving past them with my suitcase. "Sarah," Marcus called after me. I stopped at the top of the stairs. "Oh, I almost forgot." Page 4. I heard the rustle of paper as he found it. The account I'd set up for each child the day I married their father. College funds I'd been feeding for 10 years, now worth $300,000 each. That's my wedding gift to them, I said without turning around. They can access it at 18. Or not. After all, I'm not their real mom. What is she talking about? Chloe demanded. Dad, what are those papers? I descended the stairs, my footsteps echoing in the house I had paid for, renovated, and filled with love that was never wanted. Behind me, I heard Marcus stammering, trying to explain. In the kitchen, I paused at the counter. The birthday cake still sat there, Happy 17th birthday Chloe, written in perfect script. Next to it, the divorce papers I had drawn up 6 months ago, waiting for the courage to use them. My phone buzzed. A text from my business partner. The Tokyo deal closed. $2.3 million. Drinks to celebrate. Leaving now, I typed back. Make it champagne. The front door clicked shut behind me with a finality that felt like freedom. My phone lit up before I reached the car. Marcus, pleading. Chloe, suddenly apologetic. Tyler, confused and upset. I blocked them all. 10 years of being unappreciated was enough. The Hilton downtown had a suite available. I checked in, ordered room service, and sat on the bed in blessed silence. No teenagers shouting about how I failed them. No husband pretending to work while depending on my earnings. Just me, my laptop, and the business I built in the margins of a life spent supporting people who never truly saw me. An hour later, my lawyer called. Sarah, Marcus has been calling nonstop. Something about a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, I said, watching the city lights twinkle below. Just clarity. File the papers Monday. And the assets. I want the house. I paid for it. He can have his car and his so-called business. The kids' college funds stay untouched. Everything else is mine. That's generous. Considering California community property laws, you could take half of everything. He has nothing to take, I said with a quiet laugh. I've been the only income for 10 years. I just want out. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Sarah? A woman's voice. Older, composed. This is Janet Morrison, Chloe and Tyler's grandmother. Marcus's mother. We'd met exactly twice, at the wedding, and at a very tense Christmas 5 years ago. Hello, Janet. I'm at the house. The children are shaken. Marcus showed them some papers. The truth, I said. He showed them the truth. A long pause. I owe you an apology, she said. I told Marcus you were after his money when you married him. I thought, well, it doesn't matter now. Chloe told me you've been paying for everything, school, clothes, everything. It doesn't matter anymore. It does, she said firmly. I failed those children once when their mother died. I won't fail them again. What they did to you was wrong. What we all did was wrong. They're not my responsibility anymore. No, she agreed. They're not. But I'd like to ask, would you be willing to see them? Just once. They have something to say. Janet. I know you don't owe them anything. You've given enough. But they're 17 and 15, Sarah. They just discovered their entire reality was a lie. That their father wasn't who he claimed to be, and the woman they resented was the one holding it all together. I stared at my reflection in the hotel window. 35 years old. Successful. Free. I didn't need this. One meeting. I said, tomorrow. Neutral place. 20 minutes. Thank you. We met at a Starbucks downtown. I arrived early, chose a quiet corner, and waited. Marcus wasn't with them, just Janet and the kids. Chloe's eyes were red from crying. Tyler looked smaller than I remembered. They sat across from me, and for a long moment, no one spoke. Dad lied, Tyler said finally, his voice unsteady. About everything. Yes, I replied simply. You pay for my surgery, he said. When I broke my leg, he said insurance covered it, but the papers say you paid cash. Over $40,000. Insurance would have covered a standard surgeon. I said. But I wanted you to have the best. Dr. Hendricks was the best in the state. Chloe still hadn't looked up. The therapist, she whispered. After Mom died, you found her? Dr. Walsh, yes. She specialized in grief therapy for children. I wanted you to have someone who could help. Dad said you were trying to replace her, Chloe said, barely audible. said you wanted to erase her memory. I hung her picture in the hallway, I said gently. I made her buttermilk pancakes every Sunday because you said they reminded you of her. I kept every album, every piece of jewelry, every memory box in your room, just how you asked. Chloe finally met my eyes, tears spilling over. We were so cruel to you. Yes, I said. You were. I'm sorry, Tyler said. I'm really, really sorry. Language, Janet murmured gently, placing a hand on his shoulder. You know what the hardest part was? I asked. It wasn't the fake mom comments. It wasn't the constant reminders that I didn't belong. It was that I genuinely loved you both, and that love was used against me every single day. Can you forgive us? Chloe asked. I don't know, I answered honestly. Forgiveness isn't a switch, it's a journey. And right now, I'm still working through a lot of pain. Will you come back? Tyler asked. No, my voice was gentle, but there was no room for misunderstanding. I won't be coming back. Your father and I are divorcing. The house will be sold. You'll likely need to move. But the college funds I created for you will remain untouched. That's my final gift. What you do with your future is entirely up to you. I stood. Janet reached out, not to touch, just to gesture softly. Sarah, thank you. For 10 years of devotion. For loving them when they couldn't love you back. For being the mother they needed, even when they couldn't see it. I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. I hate that you were right, Chloe said suddenly. That day you left, you said you weren't our real mom. I hate that we made that feel true. You didn't make it true, I said gently. Biology made it true, but you made it the only thing that mattered. I left them there, 3 generations trying to piece together what had gone so wrong. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. Marcus initially tried to contest it, claiming I had hidden assets. But his attorney explained that assets from a business solely in my name were not hidden. They were mine legally and transparently, especially given the paper trail showing I'd pay every household bill for a decade. The house sold quickly. Marcus moved in with his mother. The kids stayed with him on weekends and with Janet during the week. She enrolled them in a good public school, not the elite academy I had paid for. I bought a condo in a city, walking distance from my office. Novatech was expanding. We opened branches in London and Singapore. I traveled, worked, and slowly remembered who I was before I became lost in the role of stepmother. The kids reached out, birthday cards, holiday emails, updates about their lives. I responded with kindness, but distance. The walls they had built didn't disappear just because they were finally aware of them. 2 years later, Chloe called. She had just turned 18 and was starting college. I wanted you to know, she said. I'm going to Stanford. Computer science. Congratulations, I said. That's a big accomplishment. I could only go because of you. The fund you set up. It was always meant for you. I'm learning to code, she added. I want to build something. Like you did. Something meaningful. That's not entirely accurate, I said. I didn't build from nothing. I built from pain, rejection, and a deep need to prove I mattered. That's not something I'd wish on anyone. I know, she whispered, but maybe I can build from understanding, from learning, from watching a woman who gave everything to children who didn't know how to receive it and still thrived. Maybe you can. I love you, she said. I know I can't expect you to say it back, but you were my mom in every way that counted, and I pushed you away. I loved you too, I said, past tense, because the girl I loved was 8 and gave me an apron for Christmas. I don't know who you are now, Chloe. And that's the part we can't undo. She was crying when we hung up. So was I. Tyler wrote me a letter on his 18th birthday, 4 pages of memories, gratitude, and apology. He said he was studying pre-med, partly inspired by my insistence on getting him the best care when he broke his leg. He wanted to be the doctor another child could depend on. I wrote back once, wishing you the best. Marcus tried to reconnect when Janet was diagnosed with cancer. Despite everything, I respected what she did at the end, and I quietly paid for her treatment. She lived 3 more years. At her funeral, I sat in the back, unnoticed by most, acknowledged only by a few. Chloe and Tyler found me outside after the service. Thank you, Tyler said. We know you paid for Grandma's treatment. How? The bills came to Dad's house by mistake. Your company's name was on them. We stood there awkwardly, Three people who had once been a family, now just connected by history. We really let you down, Chloe said softly. We had someone who cared, and we just didn't know how to accept it. You were hurting, I said. And you were young. I can understand that. What I can't forgive is that your father let you live with lies that made your hurt easier, by putting it all on me. He knows, Tyler said. He lives with Janet's sister now. Drinks too much. Says losing you was the worst mistake of his life. No, I corrected. His worst mistake was having me and treating me like I was nothing. Losing me was just the inevitable consequence. They invited me to their graduations. Chloe from Stanford, Tyler from Johns Hopkins. I sent generous gifts, but didn't attend. Those milestones belonged to the parents who'd raised them. Me for 10 years, their father and grandmother for the rest. But I've been erased from the first part and excluded myself from the second. Nova Tech went public when I turned 40. My shares were worth $450 million. I celebrated alone in my office, looking at a photo Chloe had sent years ago. The three of us at Tyler's birthday, my arms around both kids, all of us smiling. Before they decided I was the enemy, before I realized love wasn't enough, I donated $50 million to establish a foundation for step-parents, resources, support groups, legal aid. No one should give everything to children who aren't theirs only to be reminded daily that they're not enough. Chloe works for Google now. She sends me updates on her life, promotions, relationships, achievements. Tyler's in his residency at Boston Children's Hospital. He named me as his inspiration in his med school application essay. Not that I knew until his advisor told me at a conference. They're successful, well-adjusted adults. The therapy I paid for worked. The education I funded opened doors. The love I gave, even when thrown back in my face, created a foundation they built on. But they built it without me. Because that's the thing about being a step-parent, you can give everything and be left with nothing. You can love with your whole heart and be told that heart doesn't count. You can sacrifice your youth, your money, your dreams, and still be reminded that you're not real. I was real when I was writing checks. I was real when I was making breakfast. I was real when I was helping with homework. I was real when I was paying for everything. I just wasn't real when it mattered, in their hearts. And by the time they realized their mistake, I'd learned to be real for myself. Successful, wealthy, respected. Everything they said I'd never be because I was just the fake mom. Turns out, fake moms can build real empires, even if they build them alone.